go to a couple of things here. We left Afghanistan in August of 2021. The Taliban was in charge and they threatened the personnel of the USAID. They claim credit for USAID distribution. They interfere with the distribution of the USAID. They task the beneficiary of the aid and distribution services. They steal food commodities. They divert the funds. They extort citizens for protection. They create sham procurement schemes, and they threaten the lives of those who oppose those schemes. He says that all occurred before August of 2021 while we were there. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, he says. You can read. The Taliban is specially designated global terrorist organization. Now, post 2021, he goes on to say, this was last year, 2024. We spent $697 million of taxpayers' dollars in Afghanistan, including $534,719,000 and some change from USAID to Afghanistan. I don't know what we think we're going to change in Afghanistan. We lost and wounded 22,000 Americans in Afghanistan over the course of our time there. In the war, he says, spending over $2 trillion. We are just going to keep on spending because somehow we think it's going to get better. We are wondering. He was asking, are you wondering who in Afghanistan is in charge of the money? And that money I just mentioned, the $697 million is on top of, in addition to the weekly and everyday shipments in cash of $40 to $80 million. That makes you wonder what it is exactly. America, like I mentioned earlier, it's not a stupid. You cannot describe America as ignorant. America is the police of the world, has been the police of the world for the longest of time. So what is the motive? Why is so much money put into, in this case, Afghanistan? To the ordinary person on the street, you can't even understand or see what the benefits are other than the fact that war is big money. And of course, he goes on to say that Afghanistan is ruled by folks named Uddin Akani. Does the Akani name mean anything to anyone? How about Abdullah bin Laden? He says, I'm not sure. Abdullah bin Laden, I'm not sure if he meant something else, but perhaps there's someone named Abdullah bin Laden. Get some of that money. Does the name ring a bell to anybody in the room? Because your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipment of cash to madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram. Boko Haram. This is a terrorist organization in Nigeria. ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what your money is funding. Now, if you think the program under Operation Sentinel or the Young Women Lead, which gets about $5 million annually, is going to women who, by the way, if you read the Inspector General's report, is telling you that Taliban does not allow women to speak in public, yet somehow you're believing that the American people are supposed to believe that this money is going to the betterment of the women of Afghanistan. It is not. You are funding terrorism, he goes on to say. Facts. He made a statement of fact. This is not an allegation. And it's coming through USAID. And it's not just Afghanistan, because Pakistan is just next door. USAID spends $840 million they have spent $840 million in the last 20 years in Pakistan educational related program. It includes $136 million to build 120 schools. I smile because it sounds all too familiar, even in my country, Nigeria, of which there is zero evidence that any one of them was ever built. Why won't there be evidence the IG can't get to see? What we doubled down and spent $20 million from USAID to create educational television programs for children unable to attend the physical school. Yes, they cannot attend because it doesn't exist. So after all of this money spent to build schools in Pakistan, not one single school can be shown to have been built for this purpose. All right, so you paid for it. He's telling the American people, you paid for it. Somebody else got the money. You are paying for terrorism. This has got to stop. End of quote. Now, from the inception, for us outsiders, we'll never know the truth. Even Americans don't know the truth. Only the people in the inner circle of the government will know, of course, the original intention of the USAID formation. It says that USAID's mission from inception was to provide economic and humanitarian assistance worldwide. And its programs in Nigeria are designed to promote development and stability. And he goes ahead to say that Boko Haram, that's a terrorist organization in Nigeria, operating in Nigeria and in the Lake Chad region. He says is recognized as a terrorist organization by the United States government. It has been responsible for significant violence and humanitarian crisis in Nigeria and the surrounding Lake Chad Basin region. The United States government has consistently condemned Boko Haram's actions and has provided support to Nigeria in combating groups' insurgency, or so they say. So they say, because I'm Nigerian. I've lived in Nigeria for the most of my life. And I cannot understand how the United States would have supported a fight against Boko Haram, and Boko Haram gets stronger by the day. Even the Nigerian army, once noted to be the fiercest, most gallant on the African continent, is made to look like a joke. Something is fishy, isn't it? Something is fishy. We smell it and we know it. It says this support includes humanitarian aid to assist those affected by Boko Haram activities and security assistance to bolster Nigeria's counter-terrorism efforts. I remember when President Goodluck Jonathan, former President Goodluck Jonathan, was fighting Boko Haram. He was resolute that he was going to, overcome Boko Haram. The United States of America refused, under Barack Obama refused to sell Nigeria arms. If you remember in the news at the time, there was a time when a private jet was found in South Africa with a lot of money. People didn't understand at the time what was going on. People criticized the government. But Nigeria was in desperate need to purchase arms to be able to fight the terrorists. So they had to buy or purchase arms using a middleman